My name's Aaron, welcome back to my channel. How are you? I am fantastic and I'm doing really well. And today I'm reviewing The Moon by Frederic Malle. This is £320 for 50ml and £500 for 100ml. And it's got a great big long description, which I'm not going to read. The notes are rose, oud, frankincense, ripe red berries, red currant raspberry notes. Do we have our bottles of the moon? Are we engaged with our higher self? Let's get testing. So the box is super compliant, which I'm very happy about. And I love the way the perfumer's name is on the box. I do love the color, really dark red. So this is super strong, super projecting, super compact. And this has been built around cashmere, and really apparent is the raspberry ketones, which give that raspberry feel. I mentioned before, but cashmere is a solid at room temperature. It's a crystalline solid, and in formulations it alters the viscosity. So when it sits with the skin, you get that expansive nature, and this is what this is going to do. This is masses of naturals in, and the ionones are very high up, which give it that sort of woody, bittery feel to it. Vanillin is lovely, and they're using vanillin to smooth and further anchor it to the skin. Citronellal, phenyl ethyl alcohol, and some ambery molecules, which are further helping to excite the fragrance and aid the projection within the formulation. It's slightly unpalatable, I do have to say. I'd imagine this sweetening it with some ethyl maltol. You would absolutely have to, because the cyprol, sandalwood, and then it dries down to galacwood, and the galacwood is giving that smokiness, and I'd imagine there's some leathery raw materials in this as well. And galacwood is another solid at room temperature and can give a smoky feel to the fragrance, and this is incredibly smoky. And I know in the literature it was talking about Middle East, where they're sort of smoking, and I think that was the inspiration from it. That's really what you're getting. Dense, heavy, bitter, lemon, cedarwood. I think it's got nutmeg in as well, because there's sort of a spicy finish, spicy flick to it. And I love using nutmeg. Nutmeg is incredible in formulations. It's one of my new favorite raw materials. The ionones are quite high up, and the ionones are giving it that sort of, I would imagine it's the beta ionone configuration, because it's giving it that woody dryness to it. There's a woody dryness. This is dry. This is going to be incredibly polarizing. The one thing I didn't particularly like, which is you can get a sample at all, and they were saying on the website, they said if you want to try it, contact your local boutique and we'll send you a card that's sprayed with it. And I don't know quite how I feel about that, because I think you really don't know how something's going to act unless it's on the skin. If someone buys one of my ouds and asks for a sample of Boss Bitch, we always put samples in, because I really think you need to try ouds on the skin. There's things I like about this, things I don't like about this, and I think this is, again, a fragrance which I don't think it's particularly something that you love straight away. I think you wear it and you get used to it, like the night. That I felt really unpalatable, and I think this is the one where it's sort of sweeter and smoky. I think it's either going to be very polarizing, and you're sort of going to maybe convince yourself that you like it. On to my final thoughts. I sort of like this, and I sort of don't like it. That's the only way I can sort of explain it to you. The things I like, I love the cashmere and the raspberry ketones. I love working with sort of rose molecules, and I love Shiraz ambers. But there's an unpalatable side to this. It's very bitter, dense, hard. And I think that's what the perfumer would have gone for, this sort of finish. I personally don't see this as being something that you wear continually. I think this is something that you'd wear it to impress someone, because you really are going to notice this. This is going to fill a room. This is going to leave an impression. So this, I really think, is what are you wearing? It's the moon. And oh, it was £300 or £500 for a bottle. Isn't that, that's expensive? And I think that's what it is. How would I improve upon it? There's so much that you could do with oud. I love oud very much. It's one of my most favorite raw materials, actually. There's so much you can do with it. And this, I think, would have been fantastic. Pushed in a real gourmand. Heliotropin would have been amazing. There's other things that could have been done to make this much more palatable, and I think perfume should be palatable at all times. And it should be something that you buy a bottle and you should want to wear it. It shouldn't just be for special occasions. The leatheriness and the galac wood is quite high up, and the ionones are quite high up. I would sort of jiggle it all around to make it much more palatable. Interestingly, there's no hedione. This should have been much more airy. There's no hedione apart from the cashmere, and there's not too much musk in it, so it's acting differently on the skin, but this is incredibly stable and safe. So on to my marks. The first 2 marks are whether it's all legal and safe. This is legal, safe and compliant. I expect nothing less, absolutely. The next 2 marks are the price. I don't really know how to, these high end ones, I don't know, I think it's sort of slightly overpriced. I think it should be 100 quid knocked off. I'm not detecting masses of oud in it, and I don't know why wood raw materials weren't using this, why Javanite wasn't using this, all that sort of stuff. A little bit perplexing, to be honest. So to me, there's so much more that could have been done. This is drying now quite flat, so I think it's a little bit overpriced for, in my opinion, of course. The next 2 marks are sort of projection, longevity. Now, I tested this earlier on the boys in the factory, and they didn't like it at all. They scrubbed to get it off the skin, and it's quite difficult to get off the skin. So in that aspect, it's really fantastic, but it dries quite flat. You don't get that mammoth of protection, and I really don't like the actual high amounts of galac wood with the vanilla is making it smell off and sour. Underneath, it sort of smells a little bit off. Do I like it? I really don't like it, actually. It's something quite unpalatable about it, and I'd love to see it rounded out and smoothed out a lot more. This is a statement fragrance, so I think it's if you want to make a statement and if you want something that strong and that powerful, I don't know quite what occasion that you'd wear it for, then I think it's absolutely for you, but I think it's going to be a small amount of people are going to like it. It's sort of not mass appealing, but I do like the fruit quality of it, but it's quite headache inducing, actually. I'm going to mark it as 7 out of 10. I think it's a little bit in turn palatable for my liking. It's not smoothed out. There's no, there's like things I'd love to see added. Some expensive sandalwood raw materials would just smooth this out. It needs to be much more heady. Hedione would have like smoothed it out a lot more and given it sort of elongated it. It feels small, round and dense. And unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to get this off my skin, which is a positive, I suppose. So initially I really liked it, the sort of the ketone, but now it's drying into sort of bitterness, harshness, smokiness to it, but I think it's got its place. So if you love that review, thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating, interesting content, lots of moving hands, and lots of fragrance reviews. I hope you're staying safe and well, and I'll see you soon.